welcome to the Scottish Football Forums podcast. In today's show, we're going to have a look at the SPL games over the weekend. We're going to have a quick look at Romanov and the goings on at Hearts. We're going to have a quick look at the Europa League draw for Rangers, Celtic and Hearts. I thought I'd maybe take a moment to read a poem that was written from one of our forum members, and we'd also take a look at the upcoming SPL games and make our predictions. On this week's show, I'm once again joined by our co-host and contributor for SFF, Laurie.
Don't sound too enthusiastic there. Once again, hello. I like your optimism as well. A quick look. There's lots of quick looks at things there. I think if anyone's heard the past shows, quick looks at issues aren't really our forte, are they?
I'm trying to be positive.
I'm only joking. Hello, everyone.
And joining us again, don't want to build him up too much, but is the owner of thefootyblog.net, Scott.
Yeah, I think that's Craig's default position, by the way, is just boring. Not excited, boring. That's his kind of default position.
Aye, Reverend, I am jolly. So I thought we'd start things off by looking at the SPL games over the weekend, and I thought the first game that we'd look at was the 6-goal thriller between Dunfermline and Inverness. Now, Dunfermline brought it back to 3-3 in stoppage time by a free kick by Hardy, which was maybe 35 yards out, and to be honest, I'd be very surprised if that wasn't included in goal of the season. Did you see it at all, Laurie?
I did. I watched the highlights. It seemed like quite an open game, end to end, which I was a little surprised at. I have to say, I got a point in the predictor, but I probably couldn't have been much further off the game, to be honest, because I put 0-0, and I seem to remember saying it'll be a dull 0-0 draw with not many chances, so it shows what I know. But yeah, it looked pretty open. It was a tremendous strike. I think it silenced Jim McIntyre apparently because he was telling Hardy don't shoot because it was too far out. So there you go.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a postage stamp, another cliche, but it was definitely a postage stamp. Just superb.
Yep, and seemed like a good game. A draw. I think Dunfermline deserved at least a draw. I think I saw Butcher saying that as well. That Tansey looked good for Inverness. Andy Kirk, big fan of Andy Kirk, was always a good goal poacher at Hearts. Took his goals well, so I think all round maybe both teams will probably be happy that they got a point, but maybe slightly disappointed they didn't get more, if that makes sense. What about yourself, Scott? Did you catch any of the game?
I seen the match reports and I seen the goal, the things as they were coming in, but I think it just shows that they're the two worst teams, to be honest. That's what I thought beforehand. I think neither really could defend and really could take the game by the scruff of the neck. When I say two worst teams, obviously Hearts and Aberdeen are probably the two worst teams just now, but we'll leave that
straight in there.
We beat Pax 4-1. Come on, I mean that's got to count for something, surely.
Well, does it? Inverness could have probably beat Pax 5-0, but we'll leave that there. I think. As I say, I think these two teams will probably be fighting for 11th and 12th spot, and I don't see that changing. But it's good that they're getting goals in exciting games, and the SPL's had a few good goals already this season. I remember the Kilmarnock Dundee United game up at Tannadice. There was a couple of good crackers there as well, so it's good that the SPL are actually getting some top-notch goals in.
Yeah, although you mentioned that the Dunfermline and Inverness maybe the two worst teams in the league, I think the fact that not only was there 6 goals, but there was also quite a few other chances. So I think it's that kind of thing it's a good advert for Scottish football. I'd like to move on to the second game, and that's Dundee United against St Mirren. Although the scoreline finished 1-1, I think the standout moment of this was unfortunately the challenge with Severin, where it seems that he had a triple leg break and also some torn ligaments. It didn't look too bad at the time. It was a 50-50. I don't know if he maybe got hit by the knee that made it so bad, but but it's bad news for him.
It's a real shame. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Scott Severin. Since he came through at Hearts about 13 years back, 98-99 season, and he has had a couple of injuries, nothing as bad as that before, and I'm just worried at 32 it might be really hard for him to come back from. But yeah, it wasn't nothing really malicious. Two players going for the ball, and he just unfortunate the way it caught him. So all the best to him. Hopefully he can recover and get back in, but it's going to be difficult judging by as soon as someone says triple leg break, immediately you imagine it's not going to be the best and the easiest injury to come back from.
Yeah.
It's strange because it's always the innocuous ones that seem to be the worst. Even watching the Celtic game, the Izaguri one was a bit innocuous, and these are the injuries that seem to be the worst because I don't think the players are really expecting it.
Yeah.
And they get such a bad injury, and as Laurie said, Scott's a top pro. Somebody I think most teams would love to have in their team because he's so committed. He'll play various positions, and it's a shame that he'll be out for so long now.
Do you know Scott Severin? I was actually, when you just said that, I remember when he came through first, he was a striker. He then he moved into central midfield. He played in goals at the end of one game against Rangers. Yep, I think that wee Austinstad at Rangers. I remember I think it was Moylan, and he took out and he had to go off injured. So Severin had to play in goals. He played it.
Remember Austinstad for that's career right there.
So I think Severin's actually, and he plays in defence a few times for Hearts. He played in defence a lot for Aberdeen and United. So I'm pretty sure he's played in goals, in defence, in midfield, and up front. So it's pretty impressive.
That, yeah.
Exactly.
Did you see Gary Kennis' free kick?
I did. I enjoyed Keith Watson's miss right after even more though.
Yeah, it was a very good free kick. Again, maybe 35 yards out, and Kenneth, we all know that he can hit a solid ping, and the keeper spilled it. Keith Watson had the easiest of chances and seemed to just swipe at thin air.
I loved how he put his head in his hands. Pretty much, the ball was kind of still going behind him. It was but he already had his head in his hands because he knew what he'd done or hadn't done.
I think we've all been there playing 7-a-side.
Gary Kenneth and you, Lorenzo Amoruso, is that what you're saying? No, he can have a good free kick on him.
The problem with these free kicks is it's all down to bad walls or the wall being badly placed, because you just whack it straight towards goal. So if the wall's properly placed and doesn't split, then it's just going to hit into the wall. Or, as Amoruso's used to do, either roll underneath it or clear the stadium. So it's like Carlos, who was allegedly a free kick specialist, but he only scored one about every 5 years. I think I would much rather with a free kick have someone who can hit it over the wall, up and over the wall rather, or play a good ball in, because you got players who can whack it. Unless it's from a long way out and they roll it into their path, you're going to waste a lot of free kicks, I think.
The best I remember from my time was Juninho at Lyon.
He had a cracking right foot on him. Brazilian.
Whatever free kick you wanted, he could hit it and it would be a goal more often than not. I think that's where everybody should be kind of looking at trying to copy. It's also, they done to go back to the game. I wasn't surprised at all that it would be Stephen Thompson scoring against his old team. These things seem to happen time and time again.
Yeah, it was a great run by Hasselbank, who looked really good. They looked really good the first half, sitting there knocking the ball about. Hasselbank seems to have breathed a kind of breath of fresh air in the St Mirren team, as well as some of their kind of the style of play they're playing this season. I actually thought he was pretty hard done by with the red card, I have to say.
Oh, definitely. That's when you're running through and goal, when you've got a defender behind you. It's just natural, really, to protect yourself by lifting your arm up.
And it wasn't his elbow either. I didn't think. It looked like his hand, which sometimes you get whacked in the face with a hand. It's no nice, but I don't even know. Do you even give a foul at that kind of? I can see why the ref would give a foul, but I could see a lot of instances if the Dundee United player. I'm not saying that he went down easily or anything. It was hard to tell because like I say, it can't hurt when you get whacked in the face, even by a hand. But if he, for instance, had kept running, would he have even given a foul?
Well, if you change it around, say it was the defender and it was the same kind of position, and the defender caught the striker, would they give a penalty? I don't think he would.
No, I don't think so. No.
So if you can't dictate because of positions what happens. So if he's not going to give a penalty, then he's obviously not going to send the player off, so he shouldn't really do it to the striker. I think there has to be you have to look at it, and if it's just an accidental collision, then, maybe a free kick, but definitely not a red card.
Yeah. I'd like to move on to the third game, and that's Aberdeen against Celtic, which was on Sky Sports at lunchtime on Sunday. I thought that I was pretty impressed with Celtic overall. A lot of people were complaining that maybe they weren't very clinical in the final third, but I thought they were, especially in the first half, they were playing a very good, patient game, and Aberdeen, they seemed to struggle. They managed to contain Celtic, but I think that was maybe more Celtic were just being patient. I was impressed a bit with Ricky Foster in the first half, but in the second half, I think I only seen him once, and that was when Anthony Stokes scored. I don't know who it was that challenged Foster, but he was down on the deck complaining it was a free kick when clearly it wasn't. Was it Commons?
Yeah.
But I thought Celtic definitely deserved their win.
I think if we're looking at it, it was Commons didn't have the best of games, but it just shows you that you give him a 5-minute good spell, he can change a game. And he won the ball, played a nice 1-2 with Stokes. Celtic scored, and they could have got another one when they slapped somebody else. I can't remember a few minutes after that. Forrest it was. So they've got that in their team. They don't play maybe to their potential for the full 90 minutes, but if they play well for 10 and they play solid for the full 90, then they can win 1-2-0.
Yeah, but I think that's the difference with the Old Firm and the teams around them. It was something I was kind of discussing on the forum earlier, that if you're Celtic or Rangers and you got players like Commons or Jelavic or Hooper or Davis, that you can play relatively, maybe not even poorly, but you can maybe put in an average performance. But these are the type of players who can just need one chance and they'll put it away. And they've got the belief that they'll get that chance and they'll score. So not surprised. It didn't sound like as hard as Aberdeen fought and as well as they played in terms of the opposition they were up against. They didn't sound like they actually created much in the way of chances. So not really surprised. I thought it'd be more comfortable for Celtic in terms of the goals, but it seemed relatively comfortable in terms of being in control of the game.
It's pretty bad news for Izagiri.
Craig, don't you think it's going to be a bit strange when he came off? You seen Charlie Mulgrew come on, but he wasn't bombing forward the same way, and Celtic looked a bit hesitant on the left-hand side when he came off, and it seems as if that might be a problem for them the next couple of months.
I think you could be right. Yeah, the latest I heard was that he's broken his fibula, which there's no way I could point to that on the body, but I'm guessing it's in the foot somewhere.
Guess it's in your foot. That was the way to say that.
Yeah, but when I seen the challenge, which I think was fair, but when I seen the challenge, I seen Izagiri's, he landed on his foot, and the way it extended, I feared that he'd maybe done something to his Achilles, which would have kept him out for a very long time.
I would think it could be problematic for Celtic. Mulgrew never struck me as the best defensively, in particular in fullback area, but I think they've got enough in there. You can move Wilson over as well, because apparently Matthews played really well. I didn't see the game, I listened to it, but apparently he put in a good shift, and Mark Wilson's played enough at left back as well, I think, to cover. So I think Celtic would be able to deal with it, to be honest. And I think, as you mentioned on the forum, I think it was yourself, was it, that potentially it could only be a month and a half to 2 months that's out, which, although isn't great for Celtic, it's not the end of the world if they kind of rearrange, and that's why you have a squad, isn't it? So,
but that kind of injury could be, as you say, could be maybe 6 weeks, and that's for like people like us who are getting treated on the NHS. This is a player that's going to be getting the best treatment available. So all going well, he could be back playing within 6 weeks. But I did notice that Lennon was a bit sceptical, and he was saying that if he does require an operation, then it could be a few months.
I think we just have to wait and see with an injury, to be honest. I don't know if you want to maybe move on to, I would rather not, but the final game of the weekend at Fir Park this afternoon.
What happened there, Laurie? I didn't.
What was the score? Yeah.
The score? What was that?